Hi, welcome to this presentation and recording of the Equestrian Sports New Zealand High Performance System. This is a bit of an attempt from us to try and provide a little bit of clarity and insight to those out there that are interested in the high performance system and why we do what we do and how we do what we do. So I've got a few slides to take you through. We're going to talk through our strategic pillars, explain some of the meaning behind the language that we use in the high performance context. We're going to talk about terms of staff, our structure, our performance pathway document, and then look at a bit of an overview of our selection model. Okay, so starting with our whole of sport strategy, these are our strategic pillars in that whole sport strategy. So we have 5 of them. The one on the far right is just our focus areas and values. That's not actually a pillar. These 5 pillars, they apply to every discipline across the entire system. So what we've done here is looked at the principles that are critical to success in all disciplines. Now, the content and delivery of the program for each discipline is very specific to the discipline itself. So as an example, if you look at the horsepower pillar, so what we're saying here is how important championship horsepower is, that we have to have the right type of horses, we have to manage them well, we have to have good horse health processes in place, we have to think about how we treat our owners and how we bring owners into the system. And that is very different for all the disciplines. So what a dressage championship horse looks like is going to be very different to a jumping or an eventing. But the purpose of the pillar is to go, this is important. We've got to pay attention to it. Now we have to look at how we convert that into each program itself. And that's the job really of the high performance manager. So every program, every high performance program within the system, within our system, has their own high performance manager who's a technical expert. They know the sport well, and they can look at it and go, right, this is what's important to finding a championship horse. This is what they look like. These are the things that we need to educate our athletes about throughout their time in the pathway when they're coming through the identification and the development phases, so they understand what they need and how they need to do that as they go. So all these pillars are designed to apply to every discipline. So starting from the left, first one is our people. And what we're talking about here is athletes, owners, grooms, coaches, staff, our funders, all of the people that without them, we don't succeed. They are the people that we're talking about in this pillar. And it's making sure that people are involved in the system and understand why they're here and what their job is, and making sure that these are world-class people that can help us deliver these world-class results. Horsepower, just discussed that one. I think that it's pretty clear. Operational excellence is the way that we lead and operate as a system and as a program within our sport. So the way that we do things and function as a team and the processes that we have in place to do stuff in terms of building campaigns, managing finance, the whole thing. Culture and well-being is talking about our culture, our environment, performance culture, and just making sure that everyone in our environment is well. And it's not just the athletes. It needs to be the same for staff, owners, whoever is in our team, in our group. We feel that responsibility to make sure that people are well and to create an environment that enables well-being and therefore performance as a cascade effect. Connectivity is really around just all the connections involved. We've got athletes and coaches, staff based all over the world: New Zealand, Australia, US, UK, Europe. We have to be able to be really agile and fluid in the way that we operate. We have to enable a more tailored approach. We can't expect everyone to do things exactly the same way. It's going to look different and be different for everybody based on their circumstances. So it's our job as a system to be able to flex and support everybody as they need it. And then if we look on the far right now, we're talking about our focus areas and values. So our focus areas is to continue in this next Olympic cycle, is to continue this whole of sport approach. Our performance culture is very important to us, our well-being of all our people in the system. Our championship focus, that is the purpose of the program. We exist to help people develop and support athletes through to represent New Zealand on the world stage. So that's Olympic Games and World Championships. That's why we're here. and championship horsepower, again, just how important that is, that we are targeted specific around the horses that we're bringing into the system and supporting through. And then the tailored support is just really around the program adjusting to our individual athletes' needs, not getting too fixed and rigid around everyone must do X or Y. It's actually the pathway for all different athletes could look different, and their best pathway, their best chance is actually going to be if we support them in the way that works best for them, not in the way that worked 5 years ago or for somebody else over here. So it's been really tailored around the way that we support, but being really, really clear and holding a high standard to what the standard is and the principles that we're going to work towards, which is in these strategic pillars. And then lastly, around our values, we are a proud part of the ESNZ organisation. We are the high performance team within ESNZ, and we align to the same values. So those values are integrity, excellence, inclusiveness, and well-being for horse and human. Okay, so we've looked at this from a system perspective. We've looked at the 5 strategic pillars in the whole of sport strategy. Now we're going to talk about the programs, what they are and what they do. So the Equestrian Sports New Zealand, we're a multidiscipline sport. And so each discipline has their own high performance program led by a high performance manager. And in each program, we focus on 2 areas. First one being pathways. When we say pathways, what we mean is a squad structure to support athletes through the stages of development. So this is the identification phase, all the way through into that campaign phase, which is when the athletes are ready to represent New Zealand at the World Champs, Olympic Games, Nation Cups, etc. So within these pathways and setup, we have what we call individual performance plans. So these are IPPs. And so this is where the high performance manager of that discipline will go and sit down with each athlete one-on-one. And the athlete's welcome to invite their own coach if they have a coach that works with them outside of the system, sit down in that performance planning session. And the idea here is to look at the athlete for where they sit right now today in their development and where they should be aiming to get to over the next 6 to 12 months, and then co-designing a bit of a strategy to get them there and what support would be required from the program. The manager will go around and do that with all of the athletes in their program, and then at the end of that, they'll look at what they've found and they'll start to see some themes. So it might be, for example, if you're in the dressage discipline, dressage manager might come back and look at all the IPPs and go, okay, look, there's a really high need here for test riding and execution of movements. So the upcoming squad schools will be designed around delivering on that need. It might be that there's some education wanting in the space of developing business models and learning how to set up their yard and ownership models. So we'll provide some support and education in that area. So that's kind of when we say needs-based program, that's what we mean, is that we're using the IPP process to go out and find out in this athlete group that we have today, what is it that they need, and let's design our content and program delivery around that. It's never going to be possible to be able to predetermine what everyone needs to know and then just copy and paste and deliver that year on year. It's really important that we constantly keep checking in with the athlete group for their age and stage, where they are in the pathway, and figure out exactly what they need and make sure that the work and the content that we're delivering on is really relevant. The next space that we operate in is what we call campaign space. And when we say campaign, this is a set target, so performance target. So right now we are in a World Championship campaign, and that's the Aachen 2026 World Championships. We're 15 months out. So what the program's job to do is to identify who's the group that are in line to represent New Zealand at that championship. And then we do the same IPP process, but it's more campaign focused. So what is that discipline's picture of performance? So performance target at the upcoming championship. It might be a top 10 team finish, for example. What do we need to be able to do to achieve that? Who are the people that are capable of achieving that? And then we go in and we meet with those people and we run the same process. So we do an IPP session. We go, this is what we need from the athletes in the team so we can hit the target. Where are you against that picture of performance, in regard to your own performance right now? And what gap do we need to close between now and then? So right now we've got 15 months to do it. So let's figure out what is the areas we should be paying the most attention to and supporting the most. so we can help you close that gap. And so the support in this stage of the program is really individualized. We're no longer talking about groups and themes. We're talking about combinations. What is it that you need to prepare the best you can to hit that performance target at the upcoming championship? And then obviously part of the work that we do in the campaign space, a big part of it is around the logistics. There's so much to think about and to plan for with flights, people all over the world, and getting everybody healthy and ready to perform on the day, wherever the championship is, and all the paperwork and logistics that come with that is a huge task. Okay, so this is our high performance team structure map. So if we're working here from left to right, this group here, this operational team and communications team, these guys operate across the entire system. That's why they're on the left side of the line, is that they will have a role to play in all disciplines in the operational space and communication space. Also on this side of the line, we have our selection team. So each high performance program has a selection team panel that will select squads and teams to represent New Zealand. To the right of the line, we're now breaking down into each discipline. So every discipline will have a high performance manager, and each high performance manager will lead their team of experts. So here, when we say experts, we're talking about service provider. So that might be a strength and conditioning coach for humans, might be human nutritionist, sports psych, those types of experts. Then we have our horse health team, vet, physio, farrier, and then our specialist coaches. So it's not limited to that. There might be a need for another service provider to come in, but this is the team that will be led by the high performance manager for each discipline, which plugs back into this part of the high performance team to coordinate and connect the whole system and report upward to funders and boards, etc. Okay, so earlier I referred to picture performance. Here is an example of the dressage picture performance for the upcoming Olympic Games. So it's really a what it takes model. And the idea here is to look at what success would look like for the dressage discipline as a performance target, and create a little bit of a snapshot of what is important to that. So for us to achieve the picture performance in the dressage discipline, what are the areas that matter? Where does our investment go? What do we pay attention to? So when looking at dressage here, we're aiming for a top 10 team finish at the upcoming Olympic Games. Based on other championships, we're looking at 3 scores of 69.5% or greater. So the 69.5% score is definitely not the cap. It's just to say this is more like the price of entry. This is what we're expecting from our combinations that are wanting to target the Olympic Games. And so we're looking at the areas now. So these 4 different colors represent an area that is somewhere that will be invested into from a program perspective, and somewhere that we want the athletes and also team to be able to concentrate on. So when you look at this performance, what's important from the athlete's perspective? So here we've got that the athlete is mentally prepared to execute on demand in a championship environment. So the pressures that come with competing at an Olympic Games, how equipped are our athletes for that? And let's make sure that they are, and that we've got the support in place to help them with that. Physically prepared to excel under conditions of a championship. So that obviously it's different for each discipline, how physically demanding it is. But we know going into a summer games, it's going to be very hot. Are our athletes prepared for that physically? Can they reliably meet the technical requirements for the championship? So obviously a huge part of the work in the high performance program is around the technical aspect and actually being able to do the job itself. So how capable are we in that space? And then the well-being as well, obviously hugely important. That well-being is prioritized as a performance enabler for the athlete. Horsepower, same deal. They've got to be a championship quality horse, sound, consistent, and reliable. And when we say owners committed to championship success, this is something that we have across discipline. And what we're saying here is that it's really important to be targeted about these championships, and sometimes it might mean that we have to give away another competition that might also be important to have the best opportunity to perform at the upcoming championship. And that's something that we're trying to get better at as a team and as a system, is actually becoming really targeted about prioritizing championships. In the support team section, saying we need world-class grooms, coaches, horse health management, and service providers that can contribute positively to a team culture. They're committed to the HP vision, and well-being's priority too for these guys. It's not just about the horses and the athletes that have to be well. The entire team, we want the best place possible. And then there's our targeted campaigns, which I spoke about earlier. It's quality IPPs, making sure we're getting international exposure, the team experience, targeted training, championship-specific preparations, and using our performance pathway to make sure that our athletes are coming through the system and getting to the best place possible when they're ready to contribute to this picture performance. Okay, so now we're talking about the high performance pathway document. Each discipline has their own performance pathway document. They're published on the website. Everyone has access to those. Here we're using the Jumping High Performance Program as an example. If you look on the top line from left to right, you can see the name of each of our squads. So we have 5 squads in the pathway: talent identification, talent development, high performance potential, high performance futures, and high performance. Those are our 5 squads. If you look down the columns on the left-hand side, you can then see the basic description of what is on offer and what they are about. So, in the talent identification phase, if we work down, we're aiming at development in this space. The pathway objective is to identify talented athletes and introduce to new learnings and opportunities. Underneath that, we're talking about program delivery. So what is on offer to our athletes? What can they access by being part of this high performance program? Some selection guidelines, this is not the leading selection document. There is an actual selection criteria document that's published on the website as well, but here is a basic overview of what the athletes would need to be able to do to be getting selected into the squad. And then down below that is our performance targets. And underneath, one word to just kind of capture what each squad is about. So the first squad here being talent identification. This is about exploration. Athletes coming into the system, taking a look around. Is this for them? Understanding what the program is about and what's on offer. And then how do they develop? Do they come into the program and develop as an athlete? And are they wanting to commit to the long haul to develop and represent New Zealand at World Championships and Olympic Games? If that's the case and goes well, then they would move into the talent development squad. And everything just kind of goes up a gear, really. More support, more expectation, still focused on development. So we're not hard on results here. We take our time in this space with the athletes. It's about development as a rider, learning, doing their apprenticeship, really, learning about what is important to being a successful high performance athlete and starting to develop those skills and attributes, building horsepower, building a business, and all the rest of it. And we offer support and education in all of those places. The next squad serves 3 purposes. It's a bit of a bridging squad for those that are coming through from talent ID or development through to high performance, giving the athletes a little bit more time while they're getting more established and set up. The second purpose it serves is for those athletes that may not go through ID and talent development. They may have learned those skills and developed outside of the system, and actually they're meeting the criteria now to come in here, and they can come into that squad and start their journey from there. And we've seen that quite a bit over the years. It works well for that. And the other purpose it serves is for the athletes that have gone through to high performance futures or high performance. This is what we call the campaign space, and that's combination focus. So in the first 3 squads, 2 in jumping, 3 in the other disciplines, you get selected as an athlete. And then once you get into the high performance space, you get selected as a combination. So on the horse, meeting performance requirements. So it's more results focus. Sometimes, particularly in our sport with horses, you have athletes that go through into the campaign space, so they're selected into high performance. They may even represent New Zealand at a team, but they might, let's say the horse gets retired, for example. Now they haven't got the horse to meet the performance requirements for those top squads. This squad can serve that purpose as a bit of a rebuilding squad or rebuilding phase for that athlete. So we know they're capable of doing it. They haven't got the horse right now to meet the performance requirements. So that's a good squad for them to be in whilst they rebuild and go again. And then the top 2 squads, high performance futures and high performance, these squads are hard on results, so really results focused. The expectation is high. People in these squads need to have the performance evidence to show that they can meet the picture of performance. So whatever that might be for each discipline. So the criteria, the pathway is all designed around, plugging into that picture of performance. What are we trying to do as a program, as a squad, as a team, and what do we need to see in each stage of the pathway to be able to execute that on the day. Okay, so this is a bit of a flowchart of pretty much everything we've just spoken about. It kind of looks like it all happens really quickly and it's really simple, but this could be anywhere from 10 years plus work. If it's less than that, it's gone extremely well. But the idea here, so if we starting from the top left, talking about entering the performance pathway, it's might be TID space, might be TD or even HPP, but at some point you enter the pathway and then you would develop and progress against your IPP. So you come in, you sit down, we look at, okay, where are you in your performance at the moment and your overall development, and what is it that we need to look at over the next 6 to 12 months to start to develop as a high performance athlete. And then we offer support in that place. So when we say needs-based support, that's what we mean. We're doing those IPPs, we're understanding exactly what's needed and delivering to that need through the program, through the high performance manager and the support that we have available to us. From there, if all that goes well, now you're starting to move into the campaign stage of the pathway. So you get selected onto one of the campaign squads. So that's high performance futures or high performance. And you've been selected because you've shown a capability to contribute to the picture of performance. So we've got some markers in place that are all part of the criteria, starting to hit those markers, seeing what we need to see, and then you go into that campaign space, and then you do that campaign IPP into the championship. So what do we need to be able to get to? Where am I now? What's the gap? How do we close that gap? And then how does the program support that work that you're going to have to do there? So that's where we talk about that individualized support against your campaign IPP. Ideal scenario, you then meet the selection criteria with performances equivalent to the picture of performance. You then get selected for the championship, go to championship, you meet the picture of performance, job done. So say it sounds really easy, a very hard thing to do. It is normal that only very few people actually get there, but it is, it's a fantastic thing to be able to go through and be able to do, but it comes with a lot of work. Okay, so when looking at our selection model, there's two parts to it. So we've got squad selection and then team selection. We're just starting on squad selection. The criteria is built really to set standards across the different squads of what we want to see at the different stages of development through that pathway. So it's that red document that we looked at earlier. In the earlier stages of the pathway, the criteria is largely values-based, which means we're looking at attributes, and those attributes are determined by essentially profiling champions of the sport. What are the attributes and characteristics consistent in champions in this sport? And those are the things that we want to see in the athletes coming into the identification and the development phase. So we're talking about things like coachability, timing, feel, resilience, self-reliance. When we've got athletes coming into the system that are displaying those attributes, we know that they have the makeup to be able to succeed in high performance sport, which is it's tough, it's hard. So having those attributes certainly makes life better, and of course they can be built on, but it's good when you can display those well. We can see those things already before entering the system, and then as you make your way through into the higher end of the squad structure, then it becomes way more results focused. It's really objective. The high performance futures and the high performance squads, the two top squads, those athletes, to be able to stay in the squad, they have to be hitting the performance targets. It's pretty clear cut. And then when we move into team selection, there's a clear objective, and the criteria and the objective are linked to the picture of performance. So as a discipline, so let's talk about eventing now. So eventing, they're going to the upcoming championship and we're targeting a podium finish. What is required to get a podium finish? So that if that's our objective, to get a podium finish, what is required from a performance perspective? And then the criteria is built around that. So these are things that we want to see. The one thing you do have to keep in mind with team selection is that in an ideal scenario, everyone's meeting the picture of performance and we can go there knowing that it's all there. But there are occasions where, especially a small nation like New Zealand, where we are trying to build our depth, but there's only 5 million people in New Zealand. We have to actually build a criteria that, we might have someone that's by far exceeding the picture of performance score, and then we might have someone else that is not, but can still contribute to the team by making up our overall team score. So the criteria needs to be open enough, but still clear on the objective and what the athletes need to be able to do. Each discipline has a selection team, and in each selection team, you have 2 independent selectors, a chair, and a high performance manager. And those decisions are made through a robust process of coming together and presenting information, referring to what the athletes are working towards in terms of their own development or performance targets. What we love to see in the high performance system across all disciplines is athletes in that campaign space that can pick a target in their IPP, set themselves a performance outcome and achieve that. There's no greater currency in the high performance space than someone who can say, this is what I'm trying to do, this is how I'm going to prepare, and then they go and do it, and then they repeat. That's our goal in the high performance system, is to get to the championship with a team of athletes and horses that have shown the ability to do that. So here we are at the end of the presentation and recording of the Equestrian Sports New Zealand High Performance System. I hope I didn't bore you, put you to sleep. I hope I didn't scare you off either. I hope you found this informative. And as I said earlier, each high performance program for all disciplines has a high performance manager that you're going to see out and about at competitions, what have you. And I'd encourage you to go and have a chat with them. And please feel free to contact myself, anyone in the high performance team at any point to ask questions, follow up. Something we really want to work on is helping everybody understand what the high performance system is about and make it accessible for people that are committed to and wanting to be part of these programs and this system to represent New Zealand on the world stage. So thank you and all the best.